They've already lost a loved one, but to come and no shame and just to do this to not one, but many, and still there's many out there, I believe. And now I understand she's working for another funeral home.
Okay, and then can you please tell the court why you sought out Miss Moreno Sanchez's business?
Because I thought she did a good package deal for her and recommended all this if we did that for her. And nothing like that came out of that for me.
Okay, so your stone was never delivered, is that correct?
My stone was never delivered. What was delivered by Miss Moreno was pain, agony, torture for me, my family, and the loss of my husband. We have suffered quite a bit, and she has put us through nothing but hell till now. And I want closure on this. I can't seem to go on because I have this over me. She does not deserve probation.
This is where the case shifts from a simple service dispute to something much deeper. Emotional damage and trust shattered at the worst possible moment. In legal terms, victim impact like this can heavily influence sentencing. But here's the real question. Should emotional suffering outweigh financial restitution in court decisions?
It's not going to free me of my pain, what we have gone through, the trauma. She is malicious, vicious. She's a disgrace to the human race. I know that I could not live with myself. I don't know how she's lived with herself right now, having all of this. They've already lost a loved one, but to come and no shame and just to do this to not one, but many, and still there's many out there, I believe. And now I understand she's working for another funeral home. And I honestly want to say is that going to happen to them? Will she do that to them? But her lies was one lie after another. Her promises are not, she's not credible. She's not honest. She needs to go serve her time. I'm not the judge, Your Honor. I know you're the judge, but the bigger judge is up there. And I know that we are going to go and meet before him. I believe in that. I was raised in that. But I know that she needs to serve her time to realize that she didn't only hurt me and my family, because she bought a house, she bought a truck, she did all of this and made her look good. While we're over here and believe that this woman was going to keep her promise and give us what we paid for. And that never happened.
Ms. Fuentes, just one brief question. Did you receive any restitution this last go around?
I did, and I remember your words. You said, well, that's a good Christmas gift, came just in time. That was very painful for me, a lawyer, to say that. That was not very nice. I know that you represent, you want her, but you're not representing me. But I am going to tell you this, I did receive it, but I never received my stone. The one I designed for my husband. The one that she promised to give to me and him. I don't know how you can represent someone like that, but then that's part of your job.
I have no further questions.
All right, any other questions?
No further questions from the state, Your Honor.
All right, I'll tell you this. I've been a defense attorney before, and a defense attorney's job is to zealously represent their client. And I would always tell people, because people would ask me sometimes, I can't believe you're representing this person. And my thing is, we have a U.S. Constitution.
Quick legal reality check. Even the worst accusations don't strip someone of their right to a defense. That's the backbone of the justice system. But let's be honest, it creates tension, like this, where victims feel unheard while the law stays neutral. So what do you think? Is the system protecting fairness or failing victims in moments like this?
Ms. Moreno, you stated you had to temporarily close your office. When did you do that?
I was trying to between May and June.
Yes. Of what year?
I believe 2020. 3.
So May and June of 2023 is when you closed your business?
I didn't close the business, I closed the office. I had to relocate due to my ex harassing me.
So my question is, when did you close the business?
The business altogether after I was arrested. In 2024.
So would it surprise you to learn that on the date of your arrest, when you were interviewed by Detective Chamness, you told him you closed your business in December of 2023?
I don't recall saying that.
So it wouldn't surprise you, you're just saying you didn't say it?
I don't recall saying that. I may have, I don't recall saying that.
Okay, so how long have you been in the monument business, Ms. Marino?
On my own, it would have been 6 years at that time.
Would it surprise you to learn you also told Detective Chamness you've been doing it on and off for about 10 years?
Yes, I have. But on my own, about that time, on and off, yes, no.
Okay, and then when did issues with your business begin? During that time, what were you able to do or not do?
I did the most that I could as far as working in my office. He would be waiting outside for me. He would be throwing items, breaking stones, breaking into my office. I was very fearful to be in my office. He would call my phone 500 times, 100 times. I had to just avoid my ex from harassing me. I had to change my number. I never wanted to change my number. It's just been a big mess. And I'm sorry, and it's unfortunate that it's happened.
So you stated that we're in a domestic violence situation, correct?
Yes.
And you stated you were fearful to be at work. Would this mean you just stayed at home?
I stayed at home or tried to work elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't do any recreational activities during that time and you were scared to leave? Is that a fair statement to say?
I would come out whenever I could or try to visit family. Yes.
So your bank records would be consistent with showing you weren't just at home like you told Detective Chamness when he interviewed you? Now, Ms. Marino, I want to ask you, when Detective Chamness was talking to you, he asked you generally about how the monument business works, but you were unwilling to explain that to him. Why?
Because different situations for different families on what they order, where they order from, and special details on it.
So why couldn't you tell him that?
Because I'm being interrogated without an attorney, and I felt that it would be best that I discuss it with an attorney.
But you didn't terminate the interview at that point.
I did not. I felt powerful about things, and I knew that things could get twisted and turned, and I didn't want that to happen.
I see. And then when did you begin working for Compassion Funeral Home?
I began working there maybe about last August.
Would it surprise you to learn that Mr. Reyes told me it was October of 2024?
That's about the time, yes, about that time, August, October.
So are your timelines skewed?
No, I was actually helping, from working in the office was October, but working as far as preparation, like office setup would be earlier, a little bit earlier.
So when did you begin working with Compassion Funeral Home?
Physically in the office in October.
And you're still doing that, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And you're still in contact with families who need monument services?
They need all kinds of services that deal with the cemetery business and funeral industry.
And you deal with money?
I deal with it to a certain extent.
But you take orders?
I take orders of all services.
Okay, so that includes handling funds sometimes?
Sometimes, yes.
And it includes marketing?
Yes, it does.
And filing? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Refilling and jewelry and preparing bodies, is that correct?
Preparing, I assist whatever is needed.
Right, okay. How can you assure this court that what you've done is not going to happen again?
It will not happen again. Prior to all of this, I have never had any issues before. I've had nothing but highly recommendations and referrals. As I mentioned before, it's unfortunate that it happened due to the events that are happening in my life. And past this, there has not been any issues at all. only but recommendations and service to the families.
So how do you reconcile that there's 16 complainants alleged that have had issues with you in your business?
At that time, I was growing in business.
And some of the complainants, right, when you did come clean with your situation, some were unwilling to believe you. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Do you understand why, though, if some of them have been waiting since 2022?
There have been there's different instances for different families. If you want me to go into detail, I can. If not, that's fine. They have every intention to feel and think and be hurt by all of this. I'm sorry for everything.
Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about what you're asking for from this court. You're asking for community supervision, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And you've been on community supervision before, right?
I have.
And each time you've been on community supervision, a subsequent motion to revoke has been filed, correct?
State for what reason?
So for your 2012 possession of a controlled substance, PG1 less than 1 gram, in 2014 a motion to revoke was filed, correct?
Yes.
And then in October of that year, you pled true to a new number 1 offense, is that true?
Yes.
Yes, right? Okay, and then what happened as the disposition of that?
They were closed. I was deferred.
Correct. So you were continued on probation, extended for 6 months, right?
Yes.
And you finished that probation. And then again, for your other offense, possession of controlled substance, PG1 less than 1 gram, you were put on deferred adjudication, correct?
Yes.
Concurrent with 2 other cases.
Yes.
You got a motion to revoke filed, right?
What's the legal objection?
Well, the legal objection is that she's asking her what it was. She doesn't recall. I don't.
I mean, she says,
If you know, then please go ahead, ma'am.
I think the question needs to
Sure.
be asked and answered.
Yes, ma'am. Believe one of them was a maybe non-payment or diluted away. I think that, and then a DWI.
Right, okay. And then you also had a possession with intent to deliver a controlled substance, PG1 4 to 200 grams, correct?
That same time.
No, that's a different case.
Okay, yeah. There was one, I think that's the one gram at 1 4 to 200.
And what happened with that case?
Big birds.
Right, and you had a motion to revoke probation filed, right?
That was for the DWI that I picked up.
That you pled true to a number 2 violation, right? And went to NWI?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you completed it, correct?
Yes, I did.
So my point being, you've been placed on probation before, so why should the court do it again?
This was not intended to. This was events that happened that were out of my control that I tried to control with everything. I was at that police station almost every week. I have over 50 police reports on this person. My life was hell going through that. Going through not being able to service these families, being able to not do what I said I was going to do. Try to be the woman of my word and complete an order, as I said, especially to these grieving families. There's no way that I would want to cause pain and tension to these families.
Right, but it's your opinion that they were harassing you and calling you stuff.
It's not an opinion, but
That's what you told the PSI officer, correct?
It was an opinion.
I have no further questions, Judge.
I have a few questions if there are no objections.
No objections, Judge.
All right. So I just have a few questions for you. Number 1, when you received money from the complainants, how did you receive that money? Was it in check, cash?
There was some cash, check, and money orders.
When you received that money, did you order the headstones and pay for those headstones with that money? So you're saying the headstones have been paid for, you just waiting for them to come in?
They had been paid for. I had placed orders.
It was at this moment that she knew she fucked up.
So the headstones have been paid for.
So the monument, there's several different
Well,
monuments.
let me backtrack. So I'm going to take it a step at a time.
And this is the turning point. The entire case now hinges on one thing: proof. If the money really went to a third party, it's a business failure. But if not, it's straight up theft. No receipts, no paper trail. That's a massive red flag in court. So what's your call? Bad business or calculated fraud?
so that I can understand. Then if anyone else wants to follow up, they can. All right, so with the complainants, they came in, they paid you either cash, check, credit card, or whatever. Is that correct? And then are you telling the court that once they paid that, you placed the order for their headstones? So are you telling me that the headstones have been paid for with the money the complainants gave you, and the issue is the third party, the person who's making the headstones, they didn't deliver? Is that what you're telling me?
Three of them, they were within the end of the clients, towards the end later. There was some delays. The monument company started from 3 to 6 months in delays, 6 to 12.
So this,
up to 18. Yes, ma'am, I did.
I want to be sure that so I can understand. So you're telling me the money that the complainants paid to you, you didn't use that money for your personal benefit. You gave all of that money to whoever is making the headstones.
For the money that I received as commission, yes, I did use. For the money received for the headstone, I did use it for the headstone.
All right, no. So I just want to be clear, then everybody can come in with whatever questions they have. So what you're telling me, the 16 complainants gave you money, is that correct? And you took that money and you actually gave that money to a third party to make the headstones?
For the majority of the...
No, I'm not talking about the majority. The complainants that are in court today.
Yes.
The money they paid you, you're telling the court that that money went to a third party to make the headstones. So you're telling me you didn't commit a theft?
No,
Because I mean, that's what we're here for, theft. So what I'm being told, and both parties can correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm being told is that according to these charges, you took money for headstones, didn't pay for any headstones, you just took the money.
I don't.
All right, any follow-up questions?
Ms. Moreno, when you would, essentially what your position was, would that be fair to say it's a sales-based position?
Ms. Marino, would it surprise you to learn that your bank records didn't reflect you ordering stones or supplies from a masonry?
Not everything was done through the bank. A lot of it was done hand delivery cash.
Do you maintain receipts for those?
I did, and I showed the attorney. I forwarded to you.
Would it surprise you to learn I never received any documentation from you and or your attorney regarding that?
I have this.
That wasn't the question, Ms. Marino.
Yes, it's surprising.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, so this is what I'm finding surprising. She is here for theft. She is telling the court she didn't commit theft, and she's saying that she gave these. Who are you saying you gave receipts to?
I showed.
I'm sorry, you whispered.
Judge, I'm happy to go through my files again and look for them.
All right. Now, here's my other question. Your current employer, did you tell them that you had these charges pending?
Yes, he was aware and gone through the motions of everything that was going.
All right. So as both parties, any other witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
All right. As both parties are aware, I go on the stipulations that are presented to the court. So in reviewing the stipulations, the court found that there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court deferred finding of guilt as you applied for deferred adjudication. So if there is new evidence that people want to present to me at a later date, you're more than welcome to do that. You're more than welcome to file motions for new trial if there is more evidence. But she is here for a theft. And according to the stipulations I received, she committed a theft. And now she is telling the court she didn't commit a theft. So I'm going forward on the stipulations because that's the evidence that the court has. And if, other things are presented at a later date, then the court will consider those. All right, is there any closing argument?
Yes, Judge, there's closing argument.
All right, State.
Your Honor, we're asking you to deny Ms. Marino's applications for deferred and presumably community supervision. The number of victims alleged in this case are those only alleged. The state opines there's probably more. It's not a mistake on her part. While she told this court that she didn't have the intent to defraud or harm these victims, it's exactly what she did. These complainants placed their trust and funds into the hands of her to give their loved ones the eternal recognition they deserved, and she failed to deliver. She had no intention of making these victims whole until October 14th, 2025, when this honorable court told her to come up with restitution, and then miraculously, in approximately 6 months, she came up with $51,000 in restitution. This amount was owed the entire time before this case was filed, and at no point did she deliver stones or make these victims whole via restitution. She's minimizing her guilt, Your Honor. Even the PSI report states that she's in the pre-contemplation stage. This is a level that shows resistance to rehabilitation and a tendency to blame external factors for her issues. We can see that here because she states that, well, it was the third party that didn't deliver. It was the situation I'm going through with my ex. And undoubtedly, while there is sympathy for victims of crime, that doesn't give her the right to victimize others and perpetuate this cycle. Ms. Moreno fails to accept personal responsibility for her actions and continue to engage in contracts with individuals, sort of like a Ponzi scheme. She's promising delivery, accepting money, getting money in, but there's no output except for commission that she gets to enjoy and spend. Your Honor, I don't think she's facing the consequences for her action, and I think it's surprising, or not surprising actually, I think it's coincidental that she's able to come up with this restitution that was owed the entire time, now at a time that would allow the court to potentially grant her mercy for paying that restitution. She continues to victimize the community, as we've seen through her escalation of crime. First it began with drugs, and now then DWI, and now she's doing thefts in the community. I don't think she's a proper applicant or would be willing to complete probation.
I stand by accepting the money and not delivering the stones, and some of it was delivered to them and some of them wasn't. I'm sorry, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to figure things out because, as I said before, you're here on a theft case. So a theft case means that in this situation, that somebody is saying they paid you money for a service and that you didn't deliver that service. Now, if it's a situation where, oh, I gave the money to pay for these headstones to a third party, a company that everybody knows is, as we say, on the up and up, that they're a legitimate company, that you paid them that money, that you can show your attorney, show the state, hey, I paid this headstone company the money, and they are the ones who didn't deliver, and I'm working on getting the headstones from them because they've been paid.
One sentence of rebuttal to something defense said.
Yes.
Defense said that community supervision wouldn't be a get out of jail free card, so to speak, for Ms. Moreno. However, she told the PSI officer when asked, how does she think community supervision or deferred can help her? And her answer was blatantly, it will help keep me out of prison. So I think that functions as a get out of jail free card.
Okay. All right. This is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 6 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's to be no employment in the funeral home industry, the home health care industry. Any impact statements? Or
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, sir. We do have 3 victims.
all right.
Judge, is it okay if she has some water? She has her mouth is very dry.
Oh, you'll have to speak to the deputies. I'm not in charge of any of that. And if she wants some water, she'll have to speak with the deputies. All right, you may proceed.